Have you ever wondered who would win in a face-off between the companions of Baldur's Gate 3 and Dragon Age Origins? Today, we begin to settle that debate with round 1 of our one-of-a-kind 3-part tournament series. In this ultimate showdown, we're pitting 20 companions from these two legendary RPGs against one another. From the cunning rogues to the mighty warriors, we'll explore their personalities, skills, and the impact they have on us, the players. Who makes us laugh, who's got our back in a fight, and who has the most compelling backstory? Are you ready to see where your favorites land? Then let's get started. As we embark on this journey, it's important to understand that our focus extends beyond mere combat skills or power levels. This tournament is an exploration of what makes an RPG companion truly stand out, delving into their stories, personal growth, and the unique essence they bring to our adventures. Each game has 10 companions representing them, all trying to get to that third and final round. The first 2 rounds consist of knockout battles, focusing on 3 distinct criteria. Companions are rated on a scale of 1 to 10, and whoever gets the most points in the round advances. In the final round, all 5 remaining contenders are competing against one another, with 4 additional criteria and all their points from prior rounds counting as well. While I do my best to objectively analyze each character, the nature of this tournament is obviously inherently subjective. How these characters resonate with us on a personal level is rarely the same for everyone. As such, your opinions and experiences are a vital part of this adventure, so make sure to share your thoughts in the comments and join the conversation. Ultimately, there's no definitive right or wrong here. This is about celebrating the rich complexity of RPG storytelling and the characters that bring it to life. Time to dive into the battles and start crowning our champion. For the first round, I've meticulously matched as best as possible each companion from Baldur's Gate 3 with a close Dragon Age Origins counterpart. In matchup 1, we have Astarion from Baldur's Gate 3 versus Zevran from Dragon Age Origins. 2 charismatic and stealthy rogues with complex backgrounds. First, we look at character arc and growth. Astarion's transformation is pretty captivating. He's not just some vampire, he's fighting for his freedom, trying to make sense of his nature. It's this constant battle with himself that really brings depth to his character. And those moments when he opens up about his vampire life totally adds more layers to him. Zevran, on the other hand, is like a classic redemption story, but done so well. He starts off as this typical assassin, but grows into someone with a real conscience, especially if you win his trust. It's like watching someone find their soul. Next is impact on story. Astarion's story, while super interesting, doesn't shake up the main plot of Baldur's Gate 3 much. He's got this cool side story with his vampirism, but it's more like an intriguing subplot. Zevran's story weaves into Dragon Age's main plot much more. His choices, especially around the Antivan Crows, can really change how things play out. It's like he's got a piece of the story's heart in his hands. Lastly, there is depth and complexity. Astarion is not your typical vampire. There's so much going on beneath the surface. His struggles, his past, how he interacts with others. It all paints a picture of a guy who's really conflicted and complex. Zevran has a rich history too, filled with betrayal and tough choices. But compared to Astarion's internal turmoil and multifaceted personality, Zevran's complexity, while impressive, doesn't hit quite the same depth. In the end, Zevran edges out Astarion with a total score of 24 to Astarion's 21. In matchup 2, we have Gale from Baldur's Gate 3 versus Morrigan from Dragon Age Origins. 2 powerful mages, each with a significant impact on their respective stories. First, we look at character arc and growth. Gale's journey is fascinating. His search for arcane secrets leads to the Netherese Orb, which is both a blessing and a curse. It's this quest that defines him, really showing his growth as a character, especially when he shares his past and his fears. Morrigan's transformation in Dragon Age Origins is superb. She starts as this enigmatic witch, but her role in key decisions like the Dark Ritual shows a depth that's hard to beat. It's not just about her power, but her choices, her doubts, and her evolution. Next is impact on story. Gale's role, especially if you delve into the Netherese Orb plot, can really shift the story's direction. In that case, he's not just a side character, but a key player with a major impact on the narrative. Morrigan is like the heart of Dragon Age's story. Her involvement in critical plot points such as a Landsmeet really shapes the game's world. Her presence isn't just felt, it's pivotal. Lastly, there is depth and complexity. Gale's backstory with Minthara adds layers to his character, but he doesn't quite reach the complexity seen in Morrigan. His moral dilemmas are compelling, but they don't always translate into a deeper exploration of his character. Morrigan is a tapestry of complexities. Her isolated upbringing, her views on the Circle of Magi, and her pragmatic approach to life create a character that's deeply intricate and constantly challenging. In the end, Morrigan triumphs with 27 points against Gale's 23. In matchup 3, we have Lae'zel from Baldur's Gate 3 versus Sten from Dragon Age Origins. two strong warriors from unique cultures, both bound by a sense of duty and honor. First, we look at character arc and growth. Lae'zel's journey in Baldur's Gate 3 is a complex one. Her struggles between her Githyanki heritage and personal growth, especially in her reactions to the unraveling of Lakith's ruse, paint a deep, introspective character arc. Sten's dedication to the Khun in Dragon Age Origins is steadfast, but his development, while notable in quests like the Broken Circle, lacks the depth and introspection seen in Lae'zel's story. Next is impact on story. Lae'zel contributes significantly to Baldur's Gate 3's narrative, particularly with her unique perspective on the Mind Flayer invasion and insights into Githyanki culture. Sten plays a role in Dragon Age Origins, but his impact on the main storyline is more limited, despite involvement in key quests. Lastly, there is depth and complexity. Lae'zel's journey is filled with complex dilemmas, highlighted in her interactions with characters like Shadowheart and debates on Shale worship. Sten's character, defined by historicism and Qunari philosophy, adds depth but doesn't offer the multifaceted struggles seen in Lae'zel. In the end, Lae'zel wins with 23 points over Sten's 18. In matchup 4, we have Shadowheart from Baldur's Gate 3 versus Leliana from Dragon Age Origins. Two complex female characters with rich personal stories. First, we look at character arc and growth. Shadowheart's transformation in Baldur's Gate 3 is deeply captivating. Her amnesia and quest for identity, particularly highlighted in quests like discovering Selûne's tears, showcase a profound journey of self-discovery. This evolution from a devout cleric to someone questioning everything is intricately portrayed. Leliana's growth from a bard to an influential figure in the Chantry in Dragon Age is equally impressive. Her character unfolds beautifully, revealing strategic acumen and adaptability throughout the game. Next is impact on story. Shadowheart's storyline in Baldur's Gate 3 uniquely intertwines with the main plot. Her perspective as a Shale worshipper and her quest greatly influences the game's direction, making her role essential and dynamic. Leliana in Dragon Age Origins certainly influences the game's narrative, especially in plots like the Urn of Sacred Ashes. However, compared to Shadowheart, her story integration, while impactful, isn't as central to the game's overarching narrative. Lastly, there is depth and complexity. Shadowheart's character is a tapestry of conflict and mystery. Her inner battle with her faith, combined with the enigma surrounding her past, creates an exceptionally layered character. Her dialogues and choices add significant depth, making her one of the most complex characters in Baldur's Gate 3. Leliana's multifaceted nature in Dragon Age is equally notable though. Her past as a bard, her transformation, and her moral and ethical dilemmas contribute to a rich character profile that to me personally surpasses that of Shadowheart. With Shadowheart and Leliana tying at 26 points each, this means that you, our audience, will have to make the final call in a tiebreaker poll. More on that later in the video towards the end. In matchup 5, we have Wyll from Baldur's Gate 3 and Alistair from Dragon Age Origins, two heroic figures, each with their own humor and hidden depths. First, we look at character arc and growth. Wyll's journey in Baldur's Gate 3, from a nobleman to a warlock under a devil's pact, shows a dramatic transformation. His personal quest and dialogues, like the confrontation with his patron, reveal his struggle with identity and power. Alistair's development in Dragon Age Origins is striking. His transition from a comedic Grey Warden to a potential leader, especially during the Redcliffe and Landsmeet quests, reflects a deep and compelling character growth. Next is impact on story. Wyll's story in Baldur's Gate 3, while significant, mainly revolves around his personal saga, rather than altering the game's main narrative. Alistair is central to Dragon Age Origins' storyline. His lineage and decisions, particularly during events like the Ostagar battle, deeply influence the game's direction. Lastly, there is depth and complexity. Wyll's internal conflict with his pact adds depth, especially in interactions about his patron. However, his complexity doesn't fully explore the implications of his choices. Alistair's character in Dragon Age Origins is multifaceted. His Templar background and royal lineage create a complex persona, evident in dialogues about his past and his role in the Grey Wardens. In the end, Alistair triumphs with 26 points against Wyll's 21. If you've got any value out of the video so far, please consider giving it a like to help us grow this channel. Thank you. In matchup 6, we have Karlach from Baldur's Gate 3 versus Oghren from Dragon Age Origins. Two fierce fighters with turbulent pasts and a knack for survival. First, we look at character arc and growth. Karlach's journey from a thrall of an archdevil to a fierce champion of her own destiny is gripping. Her fiery pursuit of vengeance and her dialogues about Zariel and Avernus showcase a deeply driven character who defies her dark past. Oghren's development from a disgraced warrior to a dependable ally in Dragon Age Origins is significant, but it lacks the dynamic range and intensity of Karlach's transformative arc. Next is impact on story. Karlach brings a unique dimension to Baldur's Gate 3, influencing key plot points like the Moonrise Towers encounter. Her background intertwines with the main story, making her an integral part of the narrative. Oghren adds to Dragon Age Origins story, particularly in the Ozrama and Anvil of the Void quests, but his contributions are overshadowed by more central characters, limiting his overall impact on the main narrative. Lastly, there is depth and complexity. Karlach's internal struggle against her infernal nature and her determination to overcome her past add a rich complexity to her character, especially evident in her confrontations with demonic entities and moral dilemmas. Oghren, while having a compelling backstory, primarily focuses on familial and battle-related aspects, lacking the depth and internal conflicts that characterize Karlach. In the end, Karlach triumphs with 24 points against Oghren's 18. In matchup 7, we have Halsin from Baldur's Gate 3 versus Wynne from Dragon Age Origins, two wise mentors with strong moral compasses. First, we look at character arc and growth. Halsin, as Baldur's Gate 3's druid leader, shows resilience and wisdom, but his personal development isn't as prominent as Wynne's. His role is crucial in the game, but his growth is more about his position than personal transformation. Wynne in Dragon Age Origins undergoes significant growth, especially in her views on magic and her own internal spirit. Her journey from a mentor to facing her own mortality adds a profound layer to her character. Next is impact on story. Halsin's story, particularly his capture and rescue, is vital to Baldur's Gate 3's plot, but it's more of a chapter than a continuous thread. His impact, while significant, doesn't extend beyond certain key moments. Wynne's involvement in Dragon Age's major events like the Urn of Sacred Ashes quest makes her a central figure. Her perspectives often guide the player's decisions, making her a constant influence throughout the game. Lastly, there is depth and complexity. Halsin's character, though wise and well respected, lacks the intricate personal story seen in Wynne. He's more of a guiding figure than a character with explored depth. Wynne's complexity in Dragon Age Origins is great. Her internal conflict with her spirit and her struggle with the ethics of magic make her one of the most layered characters, offering insights into the game's lore and moral choices. In the end, Wynne triumphs with 24 points against Halsin's 20. In matchup 8, we have Minthara from Baldur's Gate 3 versus Loghain from Dragon Age Origins, two characters with leadership ambitions and a deep moral complexity. First, we look at character arc and growth. Minthara's narrative in Baldur's Gate 3 as a drow paladin and agent of the Absolute shows some potential, but it doesn't delve deeply into her faith or leadership complexities. Her role feels more like a missed opportunity to explore a deeper character. Loghain's arc in Dragon Age Origins is one of the game's most compelling. His journey from a revered general to a disgraced traitor and possibly to redemption is filled with depth and nuance, especially highlighted in his pivotal role at Ostagar and the Landsmeet. Next is impact on story. Minthara influences key events like the attack on the Druid Grove in Baldur's Gate 3, yet her impact is somewhat overshadowed by the main narrative. While important, she doesn't fundamentally alter the game's direction. Loghain is central to Dragon Age Origins storyline, directly impacting the game's major events and plot twists. His decisions, from the betrayal at Ostagar to his machinations in Denerim, significantly shape the game's world and the player's journey. Lastly, there is depth and complexity. Minthara shows complexity in her loyalty to Lolth and her tactical approach, particularly in battles like the one at Moonrise Towers. However, this complexity often feels surface level, lacking deeper exploration. Loghain, on the other hand, is a character defined by his internal conflicts and dilemmas. His backstory, his motivations, and the moral grey areas he inhabits add layers of complexity to his character, making him one of the more intricately crafted figures in Dragon Age Origins. In the end, Loghain triumphs with 26 points against Minthara's 19. In matchup 9, we have Minsc from Baldur's Gate 3 versus Shale from Dragon Age Origins, two characters memorable for their unconventional backgrounds and personalities. First, we look at character arc and growth. Minsc's journey from Baldur's Gate 2 to 3 is a testament to his enduring charm and heroism. Despite the years, he remains a fan favorite with his humor and valor, showcasing remarkable depth and consistency in his character. Shale's transformation from a dwarf to a golem in Dragon Age Origins offers a unique perspective, but her character development doesn't quite match the depth or evolution of Minsc. Next is impact on story. Minsc's presence significantly enhances the Baldur's Gate series with his humor and unique outlook. His interactions and memorable quotes, especially with his companion Boo, contribute meaningfully to the game's narrative. Shale, while possessing an intriguing backstory, doesn't have the same narrative impact in Dragon Age. Her story is compelling, but remains more of a fascinating side arc than a central plot element. Lastly, there is depth and complexity. Minsc's straightforward yet brave demeanor present an interesting character, especially when considering his backstory and iconic status in the Baldur's Gate series. Shale's past and her philosophical musings on her golem existence add a layer of complexity to her character, exploring themes of identity and freedom in a nuanced manner. In the end, Minsc triumphs with 24 points against Shale's 21. In matchup 10, we have Jaheira from Baldur's Gate 3 versus Dog from Dragon Age Origins, our two diverse leftovers. First, we look at character arc and growth. Jaheira's evolution through the Baldur's Gate series is remarkable. Starting as a stern druid, she matures into a wise, multifaceted guide, especially evident in her guidance to newer party members and her reactions to plot events like the death of a loved one. Dog in Dragon Age Origins, though lacking a traditional character arc, stands out for his unwavering loyalty and the emotional support he offers, uniquely defining his role in the game. Next is impact on story. Jaheira influences Baldur's Gate's storyline, notably in subplots like her personal quest and interactions with other characters, though she doesn't drastically change the main narrative. Dog enhances the player's experience in Dragon Age, offering a constant comforting presence and adding emotional depth, particularly in interactions at the campsite and his reactions to in-game events. Lastly, there is depth and complexity. Jaheira's depth is evident in her balance of nature, civilization, and personal duty, making her a character of significant complexity as seen in her dialogues and moral choices. Dog, while emotionally impactful, lacks the same level of narrative complexity, but adds a layer of emotional depth to the player's journey through his interactions and loyalty. In the end, Jaheira and Dog are tied at 22 points each. Here I have to admit that this is probably the most subjective ruling, since I personally grew very fond of my Warhound in Dragon Age Origins. And while I did travel with Jaheira as a main companion in Baldur's Gate 2, I couldn't really connect with her anymore at the same level in Baldur's Gate 3. So now, with all 10 matches wrapped up, it's your turn to decide. 8 companions successfully made it into round 2 of our tournament already. In order for us to find the last 2, make sure to participate in our 2 tiebreaker polls found in the description of this video, or head directly to our community tab to cast your votes. Any votes cast within the first 3 days of this video being published will count. May the voting begin, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more content like this. See you in the next round.